Well, hello, Jeff. How are you?
Howdy. Pretty good. You?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here in Tifton at the Governor's Forum. We've got 5 governor candidates that will be speaking today for 10 minutes, and then they're going to take questions from the audience. And Julianne and I are just here today meeting the folks in beautiful Tifton, Georgia.
Excellent. You said you wanted to talk to me about the interstate insurance.
Interstate sales, yes.
Yes.
Well, like many of the Republican leadership, Representative Tom Price, the Heritage Foundation, the Cato Institute, many conservative think tanks, I am a proponent of interstate sales of health insurance. Very similarly to the ability that we have to buy our life insurance and our automobile insurance across state lines, I believe our citizens ought to have the choice to do that with healthcare. Now let me tell you a couple of reasons why I think we should be able to do that. First of all, I think competition is a hallmark of conservative principles. So I believe, I use the example of what would happen if Southwest should come into Atlanta and compete against Delta. You'd probably have a situation where ultimately you'd have lower prices and I think ultimately higher quality. Well, in Alabama, their healthcare program, they have 21 mandates that are added to the cost of healthcare compared to what we have in Georgia, which are 45 mandates, more than double the mandates. Now, the Council for Affordable Healthcare has said that healthcare mandates that the legislature passes and requires add as much as 20 to 40 to 50% to the cost of healthcare. So, and you compare Georgia with New York. New York has 51 or so mandates, Georgia 45, Alabama 21. So if we can buy our insurance from a domiciled company in Alabama, why not let our citizens do it if they can save money? And the catch is, though, is that we have to protect our consumers. We have to give them an opportunity, if there's a problem, to come to the insurance commissioner in the state that they're domiciled in. So what I would do, what I would envision is that we would sign an agreement with Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, perhaps Florida, between those 4 or 5 insurance commissioners. Keep the federal government out of it because we don't need the federal government. There's 2 ways of doing that, by the way. There's an interstate insurance exchange that's already set up. You've got 36 members. You've got, of course, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Both those entities do business all the time together in terms of setting protocols and standards without the heavy hand of the federal government. So we would sign a reciprocal agreement which would give me the right to audit those plans. It would require certain reserves. It might set a baseline in terms of what the required coverages are. It would have all of the disclosures that would be required in those policies, and it would be reciprocal. We would recognize the agents in those states. They would recognize the agents in Georgia. So we could do this, again, without the federal government being involved, protecting our consumers, taking the benefit of a state that is more aggressive. Now, what I think that will do, Jeff, is that once you have competition and you open the doors of competition, what happens is you have a lot of pressure on the legislature to start reducing those mandates or to create, particularly in Georgia. Georgia also has the distinction of being a dysfunctional insurance state. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
No, I'm not.
Again, the Council on Affordable Health Insurance has said that has ranked Georgia as a dysfunctional healthcare insurance state, mainly for 3 reasons. We have high mandates, which I mentioned. We have no risk pool. So in other words, we have 225,000 of our citizens in this state that cannot get insurance because of pre-existing conditions. Now, I'm not talking about giving them insurance. I'm talking about a free market option that they can buy into a pool that will afford them some coverages. Because of those pre-existing conditions, they currently don't have anything like that. We're one of a handful of states that's like that. And then third, and this is something a lot of our citizens don't know, Georgia has the negative distinction of having one of the highest healthcare taxes in the United States. In fact, it's the 2nd highest healthcare tax. Mostly the citizens don't see it because it's embedded in the policies and you never see it. Unlike, when you buy something at Walmart or whatever, you have the sales tax listed clearly on the receipt. Well, that's what we should have with this premium tax. But right now you can't see it, so you don't know about it. But what it means essentially is we collect $700 million a year in premium tax. It's almost 10% of the total collections in our state. And it goes to the general fund. Now, half of it goes to cities and counties, goes back down to the local level. I'm okay with that, but it's the other $350 million a year, $3.5 billion over 10 years, that goes into the general fund, and none of it, Jeff, goes back into healthcare. None of it. This was something that was started in the 50s. It's a hidden tax. I hate hidden taxes. We need to expose it, and if I had my way over a 4 to 8 year term, I would definitely say let's get rid of it over time. But we need to do that with a comprehensive tax reform type package. But because of those three factors, again, high mandates, premium tax, and the third one, I'm drawing a blank on what the third one was, the high mandates, the premium tax, and the no risk pool, the no high risk pool. Those three factors makes Georgia a dysfunctional state. So if we're dysfunctional and we can buy it cheaper in another state, let our citizens buy it across state lines, just like they do their automobile policies. So that's my thoughts on it. One of my opponents has said that, look, if we do this, it'll take money out of the state. And that's really a naive, it's a lack of understanding, because right now, because of that high premium tax, we have very few companies that domicile here in the state of Georgia. We have very few insurance companies. Even Aflac, which is probably the biggest one in terms of employees, its headquarters is in another state because they don't like paying our high insurance tax here. So, you know, we've already got the insurance companies that are operating here, for the most part, are from another state. They're already taking their money out of the state anyway. Their finance goes to their headquarters, whatever, but it leaves the state. So that's really not a legitimate argument, is what I'm saying. So I think, again, all of the real conservative think tanks, the conservative thinkers like James DeMint and others, John Shadag, who is a congressman, had an editorial in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about his support of it, out-of-state sales. I'm behind that. Again, competition lowers price over time and increases quality.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.